anyone who was pulled out who did not make it out on one of those Apache helicopters or whatever, they went to the airport. How big is this airport? How many people were there? Who was there?
So this is about 16 days before the US completely pulled out. That's when the government that we had put in place, it's called the Republic, that fell, and Taliban basically took over everything. They took over the presidential palace, and the US embassy still has all of its staff. So the priority for USG is to move all of the embassy staff. If you see that Chinook helicopters going from embassy to the airport, that's when they were transferring all of the embassy staff. And that's the largest embassy in the world that we have. And there were a lot of people, at least 5,000-6,000 people just at the embassy. So they were trying to move those people. It became chaotic very quickly. The Kabul airport is tiny. It's only one runway. One plane can take off or land at a time. It's probably the size of a small town airport in America. It has a total of 3 terminals. Basically, 3 planes can be loaded or offloaded at one time.
Yeah.
And then it only has 1 entrance, that's civilian entrance. It had 3 military entrances, but it only has 1 civilian entrance. Everybody rushed that 1 entrance. And since all of the security, the military, everybody had left, it was basically open season for the civilians to take over the runway. The civilians basically overran the airport and they were on the tarmac. They are like clinging to planes. Planes can't take off. Apaches are doing like very low flies and nobody is bothering. And that's when we, I think, sent 4,000 additional troops to clear the runway. And that didn't help at all, because it was too late.
How'd we get the troops in there?
Flew on a plane, but at the time the runway was already cleared. It was cleared at a very unconventional way, but
you can't talk about that.
No. The runway is cleared, but the people who had overrun the airport, about 25,000 remained there, and they basically sat them down in the different, basically the spaces that were there for planes. And then instead of just kicking them out of the airport, they started flying. They have these C-17s that they were filling with 900 people.
Yeah, I'll put one of those pictures in the corner. I remember some of those images. It's wild.
So they started putting them on the planes. Once they secured all of the perimeters of the airport, millions of people continued to go towards the airport because they were like, everybody heard that there are American planes and they're taking everybody to the US.
Chaz and I spent hours and hours and hours watching those drone feeds and the days leading up to it as well. And I mean, all you saw was the Taliban outside the gates, just bam, 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 just civilian after civilian after civilian.
How many civilians do you think you saw executed by Taliban from drone feed?
From the drone feed, probably like 20 or 30 at least. And that was just in the short moments that I was in there. Saw a lot more in person. In our unit, in our echelon of command, and that SP MAGTF and that side of it, like we were ready to go, like, or what we thought would be ready anyway, like ready to go help. And then that day, them coming in, so they flew in on that plane. We were watching the feed and there's just tens of hundreds of thousands of people just collapsing in on the airport. And you can see it from every angle. There's just crowds as far as the eye can see going to the airport because they know that that's the only way out. They get there, we watch them get in safely. I think they might have taken a couple of the birds were taking rocket fire and machine gun fire in as they were coming. They touched down. We made sure they did, and we were supposed to leave the next night. That day was when you see all those videos of the guys holding on to the landing gear and the wheels and them falling out of the sky and crushing. I mean, my guys were on the ground there watching those people firsthand drop out of the planes. I mean, they were there and had to control that crowd of thousands of people that broke into the gates. All of these unknown individuals rushed them. They spent, I think, like 30 something hours like clearing the airfield of all those people. We have no idea who they are. Some are allies, some are not, you know. They got that under wraps right when we went to touchdown. So August 15, 2021 is when we touched down. Hey, it's gonna be the fucking Alamo. You guys are gonna get off the bird, the last bird of you guys that got here. I mean, they were fighting the crowds coming out of the plane, throwing tear gas, and which they were. You guys are gonna, you know, fight them coming out of the plane and stuff. And we get up, we immediately push that platoon, this abandoned gym in H-Kaya. We're just anxious to get to work. We go back, grab our rucks, because a few of our rucks are palletized. Chaz carried in, I think like a Mark 13, it's like 300 Win Mag, and then I primarying a SAS, and then had my M4A1 as well. So we took a couple long guns with us on the bird and palletized a couple other ones. Got there, got off the bird, grabbed our stuff, went to the gym, ran into another sniper team from 1-8, and they were trying to talk to us, but the other guys were trying to usher us into our little area in the gym. We get there and we're like, all right, well, let's get to work. Like, let's find a job. That's what we do best. Another sniper team of ours from our platoon just gotten there like that morning or something. So they were there with our platoon commander. And so like, all right, let's go find LT. We go out there, we go over to where they're staged by like the Joint Operations Command, the rest of our weapons company. So like snipers are organic to like the weapons company pretty much. And then we got, it's like Echo Company, Fox Company, Golf Company, and then like weapons company. And so weapons is like heavy machine guns, cat, snipers. So we got met up with the rest of our guys, said what's up, and we're like, hey, like let's get to work. Everyone was still kind of trying to figure out what was going on the ground. And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna send you out in the morning, early morning for to observe the Taliban on the civilian side of the terminals on the airfield. And so we go out there that next morning, didn't have any rides or anything. So we're trying to guys are stealing cars and literally guys were driving around with like the luggage vehicles that like put the belts onto the plane because they needed rides around the airport and stuff. Quite a ways away. So we're like, we got a lot of shit. We'll hump it if we have to, but let's try and source some vehicles. So we had someone with a gator pick us up, got taken out there to this like radar site with a satellite. We observed the Taliban for that whole day, maybe a little bit into the next day. Some of them were executing people in the civilian terminals on the far side. A couple of the guys from Echo Company had gotten shot at. At the time, it was like, if you get shot at, shoot back. Like that's what the ROEs, what we were told. And then those ROEs just started dropping. They're going to the wayside. They were like, all right, don't do anything.
Don't do anything?
Unless you're like getting shot at or you see someone's life threatened, like don't shoot. And like specifically for us, because we're like,
ROEs are
rules of
don't
engagement.
shoot unless you get shot at.
Yeah.
You showed me videos of this. You're literally witnessing people get executed from all angles.
Yeah.
And then they make the ROEs even more strict on you. Who's telling you this? Where's the shit coming from?
For us, we were like, okay, well, so obviously we're in a more unique situation being in a sniper team. You know, what are we doing if we perceive a threat? And so now we have to request permission to engage. If we see someone getting shot or executed, we have to make sure that they are like an American citizen or an ally. And like, how the fuck are we supposed to know that when they've got someone on their knees with a gun to their head?
The commitment to define goals from the beginning need to be established. I'll tell a quick story that kind of embodies this point. We did surveillance on a particular area, and in this particular area, we found a defensive position where the Taliban would kill everybody in this particular valley. So ANA troops would roll by in their convoys, and they would get ticked up from this defensive position at the top of this hill. So, being the motivated Americans that we are, we put up a strike package for that particular position. Hey, we want to put a JDAM on this yesterday, blow it up. JDAM is a big missile, so we wanted to remove that position because it would make everybody safe. So we put up the strike package, got everything signed off. That particular strike package got shot down because that particular position was close to Afghanistan cemetery. And for cultural reasons, we couldn't blow up that position. So in our minds, what we viewed that as was, hey, American government cares more about dead Afghans than they do alive ones at this particular moment. Why are we here in the first place? These people, the Taliban guys who would shoot at guys, they would retrograde or retreat to mosques every time they would try to shoot at either civilians or American forces.
Cover.
They knew the American military wouldn't blow up a religious site. In World War II, that wasn't the case. Anywhere there was a Nazi, we would shoot and kill them. This is what we're talking about. World War II time frame, the mentality was, if we don't do this, that's happening here. And the Japanese and the Germans, they don't care. And this is where it gets into the area of, hey, should guys even go in the first place? Because, okay, like I was the lucky one, man. I have all my fingers and all my toes, and I came back safely. There are guys that didn't. And I did so as a defense contractor, man. Like I was not serving when I was over there. There are kids that gave life and limb for this country.
Yes.
And were men that were doing it. And the sad part is, after all the American lives and treasure that were spent in this particular region, it all fell apart in 3 weeks. And it makes you wonder, okay, was all that sacrifice even worth it in the first place?